So what's my future?
You don't have one.
I see you, but you can't see me.
It's time for you to meet me. For over 2 decades, Halloween Horror Nights Orlando has mastered the art of the scare. We'll cover each year of this amazing event one by one, picking through the bones and uncovering its past. So join us now as we open another tomb inside the Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights.
Welcome to this first episode of Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights. My name is Matt, and I'll be your host in this series along with my good friend and fellow Halloween Horror Nights fan, Quint. Say hi, Quint.
Hello. How you doing?
So this is the, as I said, introduction episode. It's technically number 0. And what we're going to do is talk about what this show is all about, what our experience is with the event, and what we are looking forward to talking about in this series, learning in this series, and what we're looking forward to in the future of Halloween Horror Nights. So really, just to get things started, I will just start with my story quick here. We'll be real casual and informal here. I started going to Halloween Horror Nights. Well, I guess I should explain. Let me step back just a touch. Chances are you know what Halloween Horror Nights are, or else you wouldn't be downloading this podcast. But if you are a loyal fan of our network or any of our other shows that you heard us talk about this on and you're not familiar with it, I can give you a brief description. What we're talking about is the Halloween Horror Nights event, the annual event at Universal Studios Orlando, specifically in this series. And it is their just all-out, top-notch, can't miss for me, Halloween-themed horror event that happens when the park closes. It goes all night, and it's filled with different...
It's like Vegas with blood, man.
It is. That's a great description. That is perfect. It really is. It
really is. There's drinks. There's a lot of women. There's a lot of blood. There's chainsaws. It really is. It's Vegas.
There's shows, there's rides. You're right, it is. And
Absolutely.
You can walk along the streets with your drink, just like in Vegas.
Absolutely.
But it has been a can't miss for me for a while, and I will get to how I drug Quinn into this very shortly here, actually. So that is the event. I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure you know what it is. But if not, there's the rough outline of it.
If you don't know what it is, this is a great year for you to go and check it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. This one, I've been more... that's what's prompted this show. It's been going on for 24 years. So this year's its silver anniversary. I actually had to look up what 25 was. It's its 25th anniversary. And just once 24 ended last year and I knew 25 was next, I just could not stop thinking about it. And that's really what prompted this show. It's I tend to get not... maybe to a degree obsessive, but I like to learn the history of things. I like to know how things got to where they were, and it's an event I really like. And
obsessive is a good word.
Okay, obsessive. That's probably, or else I wouldn't have as many notes as I have for every year of the show, of this event had I hadn't, have a bit of obsessiveness here. So I think that is, like I said, I think that's the rough outline of what it is. You're certainly going to learn more. If you don't know what it's about, you're certainly going to learn more about it. That's what this show is about. It's about each year, each episode is going to cover a year of the event, starting with its very first one in 1991, leading up to 2015, which will actually be doing I don't know if live's the right word, but what's the phrase I'm looking for? Not a live report. We
will be doing a post attendance report.
There you go. Thank you. That's it. Post attendance. It'll be the first one that we do. That's the same year, obviously, because we're just starting now. So,
and honestly, I'm not sure why we haven't done this in the last few years, and that'll be obvious why I'm asking that question as we go along.
Yeah, I know. It is. It seems like a no-brainer for us. It's like I've always wanted to do some kind of theme park podcast, because a little history of myself. I live in Orlando. I'm literally smack middle between Disney and Universal, with SeaWorld being a stone's throw away. I'm constantly going to one park or the other, mostly Universal. You know, I will say it now, and not just because of Halloween Horror Nights, but Universal is my favorite of all the ones around here. And I've always wanted to do some kind of theme park coverage, but could never really find a niche because there's so many very good shows that cover theme parks. I didn't want to just throw my hat in the ring and do the same thing everyone else does. I don't know. I guess I was thinking about the 25th year and then discussing it with you when we were together in California. It finally dawned on me that's like, wait a minute, that's the show we should be doing because that's the one we can talk about without any struggle of getting through an episode.
No, we get together and we talk about Halloween Horror Nights for a couple of hours almost every time we get together.
This is true, yeah.
Why not put this on the network, right?
Right, yep. And I guess I could. I guess that's a better point to lead into my history. So I've been going since 1999. Wish I'd been going since 1991, but I didn't live in Orlando, and in fact, I lived in another country between then. So oh well, better a little late than never. I've now. I say drug Quint to this, but it wasn't much of a dragging. It was just
No, there was no dragging involved.
Pretty easy sell.
The only real question, no, never mind. Explain a little bit more about your history, and then I'll ask my real question.
Okay, how I had gotten even into going to the event, other than it just being awesome, was I did finally move to Florida in 1997. I had heard about it, but never really caught on to what it was. I was still getting used to where I was living, just getting my feet on the ground, meeting people and whatnot. And the people that I was meeting were not big theme park fans. Not until about a year later when I had met my girlfriend as she was starting to work at Universal Studios. And that year in 1998, to pick up some extra hours and to get her foot in the door in entertainment, she worked at Halloween Horror Nights. So that's when I really got some detail on what the show, the event was. And I really wanted to go, but it was just one of those poor planning things where I never really got got my shit together to go and see it that year, unfortunately. Then when it came and went, I was sad I missed it. 1999 came around. My wife my girlfriend now became my wife, and together we were not going to miss going to Halloween Horror Nights because she had just heard me for a year lamenting how I had missed it after finally learning exactly what it was. So we did. We went together, and after that, I'd never stopped. 2002, 2000, all the way up to last year. And the most significant change in that was in 2011 when I brought you along, Quint, and I don't want to say I didn't have fun with my wife, but we'll say this is not her thing. This is way more your thing. And it brought a much more enjoyable overall experience going with you ever since then.
All right, so that was 2011, and we've known each other since about 2005, something like that. Anyway, my real question is, why in the fuck did it take so long for you to clue me into this shit?
That's a good question, and that probably goes to for the right back to what I said. I'd always gone with my wife. I had a great time. She necessarily did. I wouldn't say she had ever had a bad time. She did not have the time I had. So I'm like, I must be not. Well, I'm certainly not alone in this. I've met now thousands. If you want to be technical, we've seen hundreds of thousands of Halloween Horror Nights fans since I've met several of them. In fact, just this past weekend, I was in a room full of them, and so I know I'm not alone. But I figured in my circle of friends, I must be alone, and didn't ever really bring it up. But there was I know why I finally decided to introduce you to it and see what you thought. Was you were here. You and your wife were here over your wife's birthday weekend. We had done the Disney thing. We had done a couple other things. Then there was a night where it's, let's do it. Let the girls do something. You and I do something. And I'm like, Halloween Horror Nights. You're here on Halloween Horror Nights. I want you to see this. I want to see what you think. Right. I think at least we'll have fun drinking and people watching. Didn't know what to expect because this was something I never really told you about.
Well, I mean, I think we planned it out beforehand, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's not like I planned it that night. It was like planning for that trip.
Yeah, planning for that trip. And for me, so I love Halloween. And Halloween's always been one of my absolutely favorite holidays ever. Because I just, even though I don't do any of the dress-up stuff anymore, I always love dressing up. And I always loved seeing people's creativity in costumes and all that stuff. But when you told me about Halloween Horror Nights, I was like, yeah. Okay, I've never seen a haunted house that was, decent. And I've never seen a haunted house that was more than like spaghetti with meatballs for eyes and, And, okay, so they're going to upgrade this and it's going to be whatever. But, we're out there, going to be out there with my wife. Matt loves doing this thing with his wife. So we're going to give them, they're going to go out drinking. Matt's going to take me out drinking. He's going to stay sober so he can drive us home. And, we're going to just have a good time doing something at Universal in the evening. And yeehaw. I had no idea what I was in for.
Right.
I absolutely did not have any idea what I was in for. So I've been to Universal Studios with you several times before this.
Yes.
I've seen what they do with their actors. I've seen what they do with their props. I've seen what they do with their animatronics. They do a really good job. And I'm not just saying this because your wife works there or anything. I think that Universal does a really good job. I think Universal really is much more adult themed than Disney and the other stuff right off the bat.
Right.
And, they're good at this stuff. And so I went into this thinking, all right, this is going to be Halloween for kids, sort of. I was thinking Disney. I'd be honest, I was thinking that.
Oh,
right?
wow. Okay.
Because it's a theme park, right? And then I don't know, because I don't think we talked about until we got into the line that, there's an age limit, I think. Isn't there?
There's not, technically. I mean,
there's not technically.
You could bring in a newborn, and I've seen people with strollers, but it is printed. You really have to go out of your way to ignore this suggestion. It says everywhere in we'll say the past 5 years on the brochures, the advertising everywhere. It says is meant for adults, children. Right. It doesn't say discouraged to take them, but it pretty much says don't bring your kids. But
And when I got into the line, I all of a sudden started realizing that this was no, this is a pretty big deal because it's all the people who are the cool kids are here, right? And if this was just a geeky sort of Disney-ish kind of thing, then it wasn't the vibe I was getting, right?
Right.
And then we get in, and it's oh yeah, by the way, we can drink. I'm like, fuck it.
Oh yeah, by the way.
So we were on our way to get a drink, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to dip into this account and I'm going to get us fast passes.
Oh, yeah. That's a story we should tell. That is, things changed for me forever that night on Fast Pass. There's a little more to that. We went and we didn't know this. We actually found this out on the way to the front gate. It ended up being some kind of school night where local schools got a real serious discount on getting in. And it was overrun. It wasn't, I don't care that there was a lot of kids there. It was just a lot of people. And I was like, I want you to see everything. I have the luxury of going every night. Yeah. I get to see everything by the end. You're not going to, I'm going to spring for some express passes for us. And that was the
best thing we ever did.
That changed my Halloween Horror Night going experience forever.
I think we'll talk about that at some point. But so by the time I got into this, I was not sure what the hell I was getting into, right? I'd gone from, okay, we're going to Disney, Halloween, something. Matt likes it. It's cool. It should be fun. I'll get drunk. I'm great. And then, get in this. We get the passes and our first drinks. And I'm walking around and one of the first things I see is there's a car on fire. And I'm like, oh, we ain't in Kansas anymore, Toto.
That was one of the first impressions I had when I went, as well as that the very first time I went, I always had wondered, I was like, how good can it be? Because they don't close down the park. They have to turn everything over. I know the gates are only closed for an hour or two. How on earth can they turn over the park to anything we're seeing in 2 hours? Well, I mean,
it's amazing.
Yeah.
The behind the scenes crew there, and I don't know if there's some of those are actors or not, but the behind the scenes crew there does not get nearly enough credit for what goes on there because, oh my God, they completely transform that half of the park, and it's incredible.
We'll be talking a lot over the episodes about different behind the scenes elements and whatnot, and I've gotten to had the pleasure of meeting and actually gotten to know a couple of people that work on it every year, and maybe maybe we'll even have them on. But I have I wouldn't call it insider information. I'm not going to tell anybody anything that I don't think I'm supposed to, or without their okay. But there's certainly notes that are not. It's not trade secrets by any means.
I'm so looking forward to this stuff because, And so when I came out of that first experience, my real question, and I think I even asked you that, I was like, why is this the first time we're doing this?
I know, right?
And by the way, Matt, I am never visiting you at Christmas again. I'm coming in October every fucking year.
No point. Yeah, it was. You were. Yeah, that's right. We've done this so often now. I've forgotten. That's when you did come. You came. It's three of us typically, and then our friend Dave will be on for at least the 24th episode, because that's the first time he came. But I guess our birthdays are in December. I was trying to remember, why on earth do you guys come at Christmas? That's why, because me and Dave's birthdays are in December.
Yeah, and December was a good time when Dave and I were both working in tech. December was a good time for us to get some time off. Right. And there was a whole bunch of reasons we were doing it in December, but when 2011 hit, it was like, we're just switching this over to October. I don't give a fuck, Dave. I'm done. Your birthdays, I'll get you something. I'll call you, whatever. I'll give you a call.
Yeah.
Because this was just like, no, this is what I want to do.
Yeah, this is I can't miss now for all of us, and it's so much fun going together.
Yeah. And that's the best part. It's like, it's not only do I get to go and do Halloween Horror Nights, it's like I get to go and hang out with Matt and do all this stuff that we always did in December anyway. And I get to go see Halloween Horror Nights. It's like everything is just like, I'm checking off so many fucking boxes in my category of awesome. There are so many boxes being checked here that it's like, it's fucking fantastic. And it's my wife's birthday, so she has no problem traveling for it and spending the time with Christy and your wife and her go off and do stuff. So another in the awesome category, checking off the box. So it always ends up being just a blast.
Yeah. Yep. While we were talking, out of curiosity, to answer the question I think we opened this discussion with, I grabbed one of the event guides randomly, and it's 22. So this is in 2012. And everywhere that I turn this, basically, more or less, there's a couple flip overs, I don't see it, but I see a big thing that says, warning, event may be too intense for young children and is not recommended for children under 13. So there's... Right. People are often warned, but often ignore it.
But honestly, I've been for, 4 years now? Mm-hmm. And I really don't see a lot of children at the event.
Yeah, I don't really note it. I just, I notice a stroller in front of me when there's it's hard to miss. That's really it. Yeah. So, I shake my head going, that's their choice. I'm not going to say anything to them. It's my first thought, as weird as it may be, is like, that's another admission you have to pay. And what are they getting out of it?
Yeah, but you're thinking about it from a resident's point of view. From my point of view, it's like, parents really wanted to go see this, and they're probably trading off the kid to go hang out in line to go to a haunted house or two each, getting a little bit of what's going on, and that's all they get, right?
That's a point I never considered, and if that is true in the most case, that's a very good point, because I'd hate for someone to do all that traveling and be there at that time of year and miss it. And if they're responsible enough to keep there's plenty of safe areas you could watch the kid back and forth. Yeah.
I know a lot of the strollers that we've looked into have had like headphones on the kids and ear protection and all that stuff, so that the kids aren't, being inundated with screams and all this stuff. So, some of them are actually looking like semi-responsible parents, but I get where you're coming from. For me, it's like, that's not a kid-friendly area.
Yeah. I really haven't thought, this is the biggest conversation we've ever had on this subject. So I don't have children, so I don't have to worry about the decision. So hey,
I don't have children, but my niece and nephew are close, so I get all of the parent stuff from her all the time. So
I'll be honest,
there's things where you've got to make compromises when you're a parent, and I get some of that.
Here's my honest opinion. Whenever I see anybody in front of me, whether it be a stroller, a 2-year-old, 5-year-old, or 50-year-old, that's just one more person in front of me from what I want to do. So I want them out of my way.
Absolutely. Well, strollers just piss me off to start with. Right. I mean, seriously, I'm sorry. If there's parents listening to this and you like your strollers, good on you, but fuck, I hate them. God, I hate them. Airports, God, fuck, no. Theme parks, no. And just, fuck. But anyway, so that is, without getting into our specific years, that's a pretty good introduction to ourselves and our obsession with it, I think. I think so too.
I mean, I will be I don't want to sit here and start pointing out everything I love because I have those for every year. I have stuff I wish I'd seen, and then when we get to 1999, it's a whole different set of notes.
Right. And for me, it's like, we've got the up to 99 is for you and me. It's kind of both sort of the same thing. It's like, what did they do those years? And, we'll be looking at this kind of like from the outside looking in going, wow, that would have been fun. And then 99 hits and it'll be just like, me sitting here going, God, you're a fucking dick. Why didn't you invite me? God,
right. Yeah.
And then, once we get to the joint years, it'll be even better.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to all of it.
Oh, me too. Let's actually from there, let's just break into a little bit of how we'll get a sense and give the audience, whoever is kind enough to listen to this, a sense of how the show is going to go. I have some history leading up to the start of Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando. And one of these things a lot of people know, and it's that the very first event, it wasn't even called Halloween Horror Nights, it was called Fright Nights, took place in Hollywood in 1986. This is a story many people know, many people don't discuss because they're, and just out of respect for the tragedy that happened, I don't want to sensationalize or take advantage of this, but I do want to give it as part of the history because I have a feeling you don't know this story.
I probably don't. And many of the people that subscribe to the NeoZaz network shows that have not experienced Halloween Horror Nights don't know this story. That's another reason I wanted to share it because it is part of its history. It's an unfortunate event, but it did happen. So when the very first Universal Studios Halloween event, like I said, took place in Universal Studios Hollywood, and it was called Fright Nights, and it started on October 31st in 1986 and went for 3 nights. So it started on Halloween night and which was a Friday, and spilled over to the following Saturday and Sunday, November 1st and 2nd. On its first night, the famous tram tour of the studio and the lot is used heavily in their Halloween Horror Nights. And this was the start of it, was this event. And they had transformed it into the Terror Tram. Well, there was a 20-year-old named Paul Ribaldi, who tragically got killed on the tram. He was a character for the tour. Now, what had happened was the Terror Tram was a night version of the backlot tour with a bunch of Halloween and terror decorations like they do down here. Some horrific, scary scenes with a lot of characters. Ribaldi was one of the characters, and he was on a tram that was filled with corpses that the passenger tram would eventually go by. And then at the opportune moment, he would jump up and from the corpses and scare the riders on the other tram. Somewhere along the line, during the Terror Tram run, he got caught between the third and fourth sections of the moving car, and he was tragically dragged for about 100 feet. And when paramedics had come, he was pronounced dead at the scene. Oh, that's terrible.
It is terrible. It was the first night of the event. There was no indication anything malfunctioned, no indication anything went wrong or there was a problem even with the tram. It just all seemed to lead up to being a tragic accident. So no changes to the event were made, but safety precautions were heightened for the last 2 nights. To what degree, I can't imagine. I'm sure there was as much as could be done was done because they certainly did not want this to do again. And it continued throughout the weekend. So
that's terrible. I mean, I really, it's one of those things where you look at these guys who are these characters, as you've coined them, or somebody's coined them.
Oh, that is not mine. Yeah, I don't want to take credit for that. That has been around for. In fact, wait, no, not going to say it. I have the note when that phrase was coined and by whom.
So these characters, they're balls to the walls out there doing their thing, and I am really, really shocked that not more of them get hit or beaten on, because there's been a couple of times where it's like one of them has gotten me and, I'm already up and ready to clock this son of a bitch because, it's just like, it's natural reaction. The guys are good. They really do scare you. And so you just your blood's up and it's like, God,
yeah.
And so to hear that, one of the first characters ever was unfortunately, died as a result of doing his job. It's terrible. It is. It's terrible when you hear of anyone that's out there. Well, anyone who dies obviously is terrible, but anybody who's out there doing a job to entertain people and make people, in this case, scared but happy scared, and they pass away doing their job due to an accident or whatever. It's always a terrible thing. It is,
and I did not want to tell the story to, like I said, sensationalize it or whatnot. I just wanted to give a history on it because the event did start in 1986. And it did not continue in 87 and didn't start up again until it came to Orlando in 91. And I mean, that's a very long gap for something that has such a rich history. What happened in that 5 years? Yeah. This is largely that explanation behind it. It's a tragedy. And like you said, and you said the exact same things that the feelings I had when I was writing this. I was like, I'm sure he was excited as every other character that's ever worked this event. And absolutely. And it's just a shame that something like that would happen to them, to anybody.
Well, I'm really happy that the events continued, even though there was a hiatus, and it's really, really terrible that it started out that way.
I will say, when this subject is brought up, the fan community is very much of the reaction that you gave. So there aren't people making light of it. The Halloween Horror Night fans don't make light of it. They respect what he did. They are sympathetic to the tragedy as we are. I think that's a really good thing to see.
Absolutely.
So I'm happy to see that.
And I think the fact that this is kind of like not even a selling point for Halloween Horror Nights, and they haven't used this in any of their, is that you actually have to do research to find this stuff is fantastic, right? Yeah. I mean, that's really, really, it's really good on Universal Studios, who's doing all this stuff that they've really just said, you know what, that's way off limits.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. That is a great point.
Because there are companies that would not hesitate to use that to, advertise and push forward. And even if they're doing it in a very respectful manner or whatever, just try and use the sensationalness of that event to sell more tickets. And, obviously I've never heard of this, so Universal's not doing it.
No, they're not. You're right. And I
think that's a great thing.
It's something I didn't know about for the longest time until not studying for this podcast, but learning more about Universal. It had come up, but it was. I am certainly not, and I'm not bragging. I'm certainly don't consider myself a casual Universal Studios fans. I think I've read and talked to more than my fair share of people, and read more than my fair share of information on it. And it took me a while to find this.
Don't you have your name on one of the stools at Duff Gardens?
Basically, yeah.
Something like that. I don't know.
Oh, that's so sad. I went there. What did I go for? What opened? Something. Did something open? Why did I go? Maybe I just went to. Oh no, American Ninja was being filmed there. I went to go see the set the other week, and I went to Duff, and it's ridiculous how natural I go to the same seat now without even thinking. In fact, I went to Duff in Hollywood a couple months ago, and they have round stools. They don't have the metal chairs. I felt very uncomfortable. I didn't like that at all.
This just ain't right.
That's right. Yeah.
What'd you do, Mo?
Right. Anyway.
It's like I'm coming for you.
All right, to switch gears a little bit, here's some more information past the tragedy, and I thought this was funny. Not funny, interesting. You'll like this. For that very first event, the tram carried 175 passengers each. It reportedly ran 20 trams a night over 3 days, and that comes out to just over 10,000 visitors over the 3 days. I think we walked past more than 10,000 people in line at the Walking Dead house last year alone. That's how much this event has grown since then.
Yeah.
Is that not a crazy number? Can you imagine only 10,000 people attending Halloween Horror Nights over its whole run, regardless how many nights it is?
That'd be fantastic, actually.
That's true, right?
Empty, yeah. Right? I mean, there'd be like 3 characters per person.
That is true. That actually might not be a bad thing.
I don't know.
No, it would be a bad thing because then it wouldn't keep going and getting better. But
experience-wise, it would be fantastic.
So that is all I was going to do on this show until like the 0 hour of getting ready for this, and I found something absolutely fascinating. And I couldn't believe this. Long before Halloween Horror Nights ever came, I wouldn't say long, but let's say years before Halloween Horror Nights came to Orlando finally, there was of all places, like the arch nemesis, there was a Disney event, a Halloween event that featured almost all of the iconic Halloween Studios monsters.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, what the hell is this? And it was 1989, to be real specific. It was at Disney Village. This is what later would become Downtown Disney, which I probably did not take you to, but I bet you, Christy and I took you and your wife. I thought we'd been there. This was, this was the beginning stages of what became Downtown Disney. So it was their shopping district and all that. And they'd host different events to drive people there, like Disney does. Everything they do has a dollar sign behind it, one way or another. And in 1989, as I said, on Saturday, October 28th, from 3 to 8:30, they had an event called Walt Disney World Village Presents a Happy Halloween. And there was a costume contest. There was a stage show of Sleepy Hollow. There's some photo ops with a couple of mummies, not the Boris Karloff mummy, the wrapped head to toe in gauze mummies. And there was also this was awesome. There's a photo op of your child's head in a guillotine with an executioner holding an axe over it on Disney property. But what just stood out like a sore thumb, being the Hollywood Horror Nights fan and Universal Studios fan and a Universal Studios monster movie fan, was they had walk around characters with their own little sets for pictures and photo ops of the Phantom of the Opera, Bride of Frankenstein, Dracula, Frankenstein's monsters, and the Wolfman. And these weren't they were like cheap knockoffs. These were as close as they could get with the actors to make them, Boris Karloff, Bela Lugosi, Lon Chaney. I mean, they were as dead on as they could be on Disney property. I was stunned.
This is 89?
89, yes.
Shit.
So just before this is why Universal, I don't know. I have no idea if they licensed the characters or not. I'm going to say not. I don't know that that's right. I'm guessing they didn't, but it's almost like I don't know if it's an intentional slap in the face or just them taunting Universal, because this Universal's now breaking ground for their studio / park, which is now obviously turned more into a park in 89.
Oh.
Yeah, so I don't know. This blew me away. I did not expect to see this.
Interesting.
And there is a video clip floating around on YouTube, which I have a link to, and I'll share the link in our show notes if it's still up. It's one of those ones that seems to be. It's certainly someone's home movie. Who knows how long it'll stay up for whatever reason. I think it'll be up, but I'll share it. But it's I was like, this is technically the first Universal Studios a Halloween event because of the monsters, and I wouldn't say in my book, but in a really rough opinion. And I had never known this until just about a month ago.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. So that was that story. I had to share that because I had never heard of this before, and I had just spent a good portion of 2015 studying everything good about Halloween Horror Nights, and just when I think I'm done, I stumble upon this clip.
Right.
Yep. So very interesting, I thought.
It is pretty interesting, yeah.
So that is all I have for the history in this. I'll just talk a little bit about what to expect from this series and what we're going to talk about. As you gathered from what we've already said, we're going to do as in-depth a coverage as we can of all the Halloween Horror Nights, starting with number 1, which, as you may or may not know, was not actually called Halloween Horror Nights. We'll get to that when we get to that. Leading up to 24 and then leading into 25, which we talked about, we'll be doing something the second we get home from that event. And
absolutely. Well, the second we get home from that, I don't know, man. Depends how drunk we are, right?
That's true. I really when you come for this one, I mean, I always was the designated driver. I'm happy to be designated driver because I get
no. When we go for this one, we're either getting a ride from one of our significant others.
Okay, I was going to say
we're taking a cab.
You beat me to it because I said when you're coming for 25, I have to drink at that one.
Oh yeah, no,
for sure.
We're taking a cab, or one of the wives will be driving us because this will be an event to remember.
Yes,
well, remember hazily.
Yes. And if you're a listener of News As, or not a listener of News As, you've certainly heard that we do a lot of remote recording outside the studio now. I think this will be no exception. I think this will be the broadest coverage of Halloween Horror Nights we've ever brought to the network, of the event itself to the network, that event.
I agree. I think, between iPhone footage and, whatever recording gear we can get with us that is going to survive the houses. Yeah. it'll be fun.
Yep. So to close out, it just so happens, I did not plan this, but it actually kind of gave me a little kick in the butt to get started. Just this past week, we had some announcements on 25, so I'm going to close out with news that we know about. This show is not going to be much about news. It's certainly not going to be about rumors, but when there's something to talk about, we're going to talk about it, and there's two things that came out this week. First and foremost, Jack the Clown is back. Now, I know you've seen Jack the Clown, but you have yet to be at an event where he is the icon.
That is correct.
So I'm curious. I know what my reaction was when I saw the video. What was yours when I sent it to you?
Clowns and me don't have a good history.
Well,
and this could be really, really good or really, really bad. Let's just put it that way.
Well, another good reason for doing this series, you'll learn why it's important that Jack is back.
Right. And I don't know the significance of Jack. And when you sent me the thing, I watched the little thing and I was like, you know what? I really don't. I want you to tell me about this stuff as we go through.
And we will. In fact, that's exactly what happened. I saw the video. I grabbed the link. I was like, oh my God. I said to Quentin, I go, he's not going to know what this is about, but oh well.
Right. So I'm actually really, really happy that they're going back to roots. That's cool. Like anytime you're doing a really big event like this and you're able to go back to your roots and not have it look dated, which is what I'm hoping happens, that will be awesome.
Yeah. This year is just... I'm always looking forward to this event. I would say I'm looking forward to this event as you take all the excitement I had in all the years before and combine it, and that is how much I have collectively for just this one event. I don't know why I'm so excited about it, but the closer it gets, the more excited I'm getting.
I'm just excited because I could honestly the newness hasn't worn off for me yet.
That's true. True.
So I'm still like just. Every year, I'm like, oh my God, they're doing this. Oh my God, they're doing this. Like, so every year for me is just like better and better and better.
The other significant detail, you've never gone, have I? I don't know. I don't think I've ever gone either where there's been less than 7 houses. There's been 8 the last few years. One year they went from 8 to 7, and I think you were that year because of construction on a different project. This year, there's a record 9 houses.
Yeah.
And more houses is good. I don't care if it's 1 more, it's 2 more. You can't have enough houses at Halloween Horror Night. You can't. No, I shouldn't say that. You can't have too many houses at Halloween Horror Nights.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that is great news.
The only time that I would say that it was too many is that if I can't get through them all with my fast pass in one night, then God fucking damn, that's bad, too many. Yeah. That means I got to buy 2 tickets and I got to stay an extra night, and my wife's going to be extra mad at me because it's her birthday time. Shit.
I'll be back right after the cannibal house, I swear, and we'll go to dinner because I'll be hungry anyway.
Exactly.
There is only
I'll get a snack while I'm there.
I'll get a turkey leg. It won't spoil my dinner. I'll be fine.
I'll get a baby leg, a turkey leg. Yeah. Whatever.
There is one.
It's a baby.
I did say I didn't want to do any speculative stuff, but I did have this question because you might have some insight on this. I don't. The first 2 houses they've released, they haven't released the information. They give them their code words, and that's the words that they build. The project is under. I think they file the licensing under. I could be wrong about that, but one of them is Blizzard, and they've had a very big video game presence over the past couple of years. So I'm trying to think, and I don't know. Can you think of anything that Blizzard puts out that would fit this event?
World of Warcraft.
Yeah, see, I thought that, but I was like, I don't know. That's really broad.
That is really broad. Now, the other thing that I could, well, the thing is that it may be promotion for the World of Warcraft movie that's coming out.
Oh, there is. Oh, that's right, there is.
Right. That's why I immediately said World of Warcraft. The other one is StarCraft.
Oh, they do StarCraft?
Yeah, StarCraft could be pretty
that'd be cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so there's a lot of stuff. Blizzard also brings up snow for me, so who knows? It could be something completely not Blizzard.
It might not be video game related. Yeah, I mean, I've had all kinds of ideas with winter. In fact, I even toyed with the idea of it being the what are they called? Oh, geez, here comes my ignorance. I'm gonna call them the Windwalkers, the zombies from Game of Thrones.
The Game of Thrones one, yeah.
Now, I mean, I know it's not a Universal property, but they have Universal, as we're going to find out over the next 24 episodes, has worked with a lot of people to license things. So it could be anything. It's the video game one
like that.
The video game one is just one I didn't have a guess for, so I wanted to see what you thought.
And honestly, if it's winter themed, one of the best houses we've seen is winter.
It is.
Was a winter themed scene.
I admittedly thought of that house when I saw the word Blizzard. That is one of my favorite that you and I have gone together.
Absolutely. And so, it's conjuring all kinds of fun stuff for me. I mean, man, it's one of the things I really haven't done is like orcs and goblins and, elves and shit like that. So who knows? Yeah.
Yeah. It could be. Yeah. 9 houses, a budget probably more than they've seen in other years, and I can't imagine what the
budget for my paycheck, man.
Right,
monthly. Thank you.
So I did want to see. I wanted to note some things that I'm really looking forward to covering in this episode. I want to get your thoughts as well. For me, well, the backbone of this is obviously infotainment. So I'm looking forward to discussing the years I don't know, but I'm really looking to specific years I had been to, and I'm going to mention them now. Halloween Horror Nights 17, which was subtitled Carnival of Carnage, which is, I think, a lot of people's favorite. It's just one of those ones where people regard it as their all-time favorite, the best one ever, or the most, I wouldn't say hated, but one of the biggest disappointments for people. And there's a reason why, and I'll get more into that. But I think that cool. I think that there's more people that love it than dislike it. There isn't much gray area. There is some, but in the fan community, it seems to be split between the two, but with an overwhelming majority on the love it side. I want to talk about 21. That's the first year you and I went together.
Absolutely. And that's the one I'm looking forward to as well.
And I can't wait to talk about 24 because that's the first year we took our friend Dave, and has my all-time favorite intellectual property house that I had never jumped up and down like a little child of a Halloween Horror Nights until I saw this posted on their Facebook page. And I was like, so that I'm looking forward to. What are you looking forward to covering?
Honestly, I am looking forward to covering everything I've missed.
Okay.
Because we're going to be going through everything, and I've only been for the last 4. So if I go to 25, I'll only have been there for like 20% of the Halloween Horror Nights that have existed. And I just want to see what they've done in the past and, learn about the clown, Jack.
Yep.
Jack the Clown. Learn about all these things that brought us to the point where they are right now, because where they are right now is such a high note and such a high point that I just want to see this keep going and going. But the history of this stuff is always really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm of course looking at this year's coverage. I forgot to mention that. That's obvious. And I'm also looking forward to people that find this show and have been to the ones we haven't been to, and will hopefully send us a message and let us know something we missed, or maybe even something that we got wrong, and share their experience with it. I mean, I really regret not going from the...
Wait, we don't get anything wrong, do we?
Yeah, right.
Sorry.
Right.
No. Your Star Wars podcast should have told you how much you get wrong.
Yeah, right. So I'm looking, I really hope people do share experiences that we've missed out on. I mean, that will always help.
Absolutely.
I'll be happy, even if they listen while we're up to year 20, I will be happy to share it. And I love learning about things that I really enjoy. So I hope they do that.
I hope that a feedback session gets part of this podcast on a regular basis, so that we can just share a lot of the stories that because I haven't been there for years. You've been there for a lot of them, but missed some of them. Anybody who can clue us in on any of the news or any of the stuff that they've seen in their experiences, be fun to hear.
It would. Yep. Now, I think to close this out, we'll be doing this every episode. I have a bit of a creative question to wrap up each episode. We usually have a common thing on every one of our shows on the network, and this is going to be ours. And my question is actually, this isn't so much creative. We'll get more in creative in the next episode. But my question for us to leave on in this episode is, with 25 coming in, with us knowing so little about it at this recording, what is your number one hope, top of your wish list that you're going to see at Halloween Horror Nights 25?
So I'm going to go on record right now in saying that I'm going to answer this every time that you ask me any question going forward. But
I'm only laughing because I think I know the answer.
It's not going to be allowed as any of my answers. It's just going to be my de facto answer, which is Mad Max Fury Road. Fuck, that was good. Anyway, I would like to see the scare zones intensified this year like they were the first year that I went. That's what I would really like to see from Halloween Horror Nights 25. They always do a good job on the houses, so I know that I'll be having a good time in the houses. But the scare zones, they did a lot of themed stuff in the last few years, and some of it worked, some of it didn't for me. But that first year that I went, the scare zones were wicked, and they were on par, and they had the mazes and the smoke and all that stuff. And that's what I would really like to see from Halloween Horror Nights this year.
Nice. Okay, cool. For me, I am hoping for another alien / spaceship type house, because every year they've done that, they just get better. Aliens versus Predator set, I think, a super high bar last year for me.
Holy fuck yeah.
And as much as I hope they do one again, even it doesn't even have to be an intellectual property behind it. It could be an original one. They've had a couple original space houses. One in particular, I think one of my I can't think of the year. We'll get to it. One year that was one of my favorite houses that I went to more than once because it looked so cool, and they just get better. So I really hope they keep doing those. It's a simple wish. It's probably a safe wish because I think they've kind of I don't want to say fallen into it. This all sounds negative, but I think they've incorporated. That's a better word. I think they've incorporated the sci-fi element into the event now. Yeah. So I think there's kind of going to be expected to be one. But even with that expectation, I will be looking forward to seeing it. So that is my hope for this year.
And one of the things that I don't know that we've touched on yet, and we're going to touch on as we go forward, is that we're going to talk a lot about all of the intellectual property houses that they do. And I think that a lot of what gets buried there is that the original stuff that they do is really, really good.
Yeah.
And every year that I've gone, like, if not my favorite, my second favorite house has been one of their own creations, not an intellectual property thing, not a movie theme thing or something. It's been one of those things where they just come up with their own shit, and it's been fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I can almost probably pick a favorite intellectual property and then an original, and then have a tough time deciding which is my favorite between the two. But maybe not even necessarily so. I mean, there's sometimes where their original stuff is so good, it's far and away really better. So yeah, I think I downplayed that. So yeah, you're absolutely right. And I
think one of the things with the original stuff that they do is they tell this story as you go through the house, right? Where with a lot of the intellectual property stuff, they just try to jam in every frickin' reference they can to stories you already know. And that's cool because you get to relive all of these cool stories that you know, these cool scenes that you know. But with the intellectual property or with the stuff that's not IP based, they're doing this whole thing and they have to tell you this story as you go through the house. And by the end of the house, you're like, that was awesome. That was a great story, right? Like, you get what they were going for. You get that whole story. You get who these characters were and what was going on. And, if you've ever been to these houses, you're going through them so fast that for them to be able to do that, it's miraculous. It's fucking awesome.
Yep. And that is the era of Halloween Horror Nights we're in. And that is not me saying that. That is me almost directly quoting Mike Aiello, the director of events and specifically Halloween Horror Nights of the art and creative team at Universal Studios. I was at an event this past weekend where he had hosted a panel, and that is what he said, more or less. I don't have the direct quote here, but we had the beginning years, then we had the Icon era, and now we're in the era of intellectual properties mixed with original content, and it sounds like that is where they'll be going for a little while now, maybe almost as long as the Icon era, which I am 100% behind. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
So, all right, that actually, I think that's got to wrap it up. That is a lot of information. That's much longer than I anticipated us going, but I think that proves, if we had any doubt that we picked a subject we're passionate about, those doubts have been erased over the past hour. So,
yeah.
So I will just say thanks to everyone listening. And we will begin the year-by-year event coverage of Halloween Horror Nights in our official episode 1 of the Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights.
Hope to see you at 25.
Thank you for listening to the Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights podcast. The Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights is a Neozaz internet entertainment production. For more great podcasts and original entertainment, visit our website at neozaz.com. The Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights is not affiliated with nor endorsed by Universal Studios Florida. All Halloween Horror Nights properties, icons, titles, events, and related items are property, trademark, and copyright Universal Studios or their respective trademark and copyright holders. For more Halloween Horror Nights coverage, follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Neozaz Podcast and follow our Twitter account at Neozaz. To help support the series and all the work we do at Neozaz, check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/Neozaz. Thanks for listening.